Oh man. Oh man, they brought back Trix yogurt? That's awesome. Hey, retro recipe. All right. Oh. Yeah. Dunkaroos, baby. I love when they bring dead stuff back. Well, that's a little awkward. I've been complaining a lot on this channel. It's been kind of a rough time, let's be real clear. Between just a bunch of Kickstarters that suck and the whole movie that was Genesis. So today we're going to put 10 on the clock and we're going to have a conversation. Because as much as I've been complaining, part of the reason that gets to just exist as much is because we don't really share the good things that much. When something good happens, and something good happened on the topic of Genesis, and I figure it was worth sharing. So for those of you who are curious about the continuation of that story, stick around for a couple minutes. And for those of you who are curious about the continuation of Genesis, stick around after that. We'll try to split this into two even, fun little parts. Also, I don't know if these are as good as I remember in the 90s. I do strongly feel that there are not enough cookies for icing, and I decided to do what I also did in the 90s, which was basically take your pinky finger and just dig in and get the rest of it. So they didn't miss that part. Dunkaroos, baby. Also the frosting one. Anyway, sorry, let's talk. Back on task. So, if you missed the movie, here's the quick context. Genesis CCG, game been around for 5 years, abruptly just poof, ended. As a result of some bad business decisions, a lot of bad business decisions. But as a part of that, a lot of people got screwed. People who were working on the project, artists didn't get paid, designers didn't get paid. I didn't get paid to the tune of about $12,000 across payroll and reimbursements and things like that. Totally sucked. Wasn't a big fan. It was really weighing on me, so I made a series. Feel free to check it out. There's a lot to it. As far as how does a game die. But since that video, one of the things I mentioned in that video is there seems to be an effort towards a revival. That revival is actually a thing. Genesis Battle of Champions, the trademark IP, the right to continue the project, was purchased by a company called Edge of Exile Entertainment. It's an offshoot of a local game store based out of Toronto, north of Exile, owned by Jason, a guy named Jason, his wife Janice, and the store isn't owned by Jeff, but Edge of Exile has a third person in it. His name is Jeff. That doesn't matter. Edge of Exile, they bought Genesis and continued it forward. Part of the things you don't do when you buy a company is you buy its, you try to avoid buying all of its debt, which includes the wage debt. So in the purchase of this, naturally did not come any sort of requirement that staff was paid anything that they were paid in the past. It's not a thing. That isn't a thing. And trust me, we're still working on that aspect of it. But when it comes to Edge of Exile, there is a company that has the rights to continue with Genesis, and as a part of their kind of make good and just get started campaign, one of the things they did, which is this is the good thing that I like, is they went to members of the staff, people who are part of it, and said, hey, you got screwed. And with no legal obligation, they asked, what would make you happy? Is there anything that we can do? Now, I'm not an idiot. And I'm not so stupid as to say, oh, I want everything. No, when I know there's no legal requirement to pay everything out in order to continue the company. So you don't really demand that. You don't do that. So I said, hey, I would love half of what I'm owed. That'd be great. That just get me through, buy me some time. And they couldn't quite oblige with that. It was a little bit much, but they found a middle. They found a good middle, and they helped me out. And, I'm struggling with work. I just had the kid. That's cool. So that's a neat moment. That's a cool thing. That's a good thing. These new owners of Genesis came in proactively, said, hey, we know the people got screwed and we want to provide, even though we don't have to, we want to provide some kind of help. And they gave me a little bit of help. And I have no problem being really open about that because it's a big help. And I think when you do something like that that's worthy of sharing a little bit, especially if you have a platform like mine. They did a good thing. They did a real good thing. And I'm so grateful for it. That was cool. So I'm better. Ain't fixed. This doesn't mean that I'm suddenly like the biggest Genesis fan at all. Oh, that's not a thing. There are some things we're going to talk about, and that's going to be round 2 here. But for those of you who are looking for a little closure, the artists were paid. Yay, huzzah. And I got a little bit of help. That's cool. I don't know who else did because it's not really my place. But I can say comfortably it was proactive. It came from nowhere. It was figured out very, very quickly. And it was huge. So thank you guys. Seriously. Now let's talk for a moment about where Genesis is at. And just for fun, I stopped my timer. I'm going to try to keep this one short. And I know I've said that many times. And if this is over 10, then take a shot. I think that's pretty much my drinking game at this point. But let's talk about where Genesis is at. And I can't quite compliment Sandwich because at the end of the day, Edge of Exile has done a grand total of 0 things. They've done nothing. They have nothing tangible. They've simply said and put out images, but they've done nothing actually tangible. So it's hard to kind of grade what they've done, but I can maybe grade a little bit on what they're trying to do. So for those of you who are maybe looking and saying, like, I bought hard into Genesis and I feel like I'm screwed, I don't think so. I really don't. I will fight to the death. I will go to my grave saying that mechanically, Genesis is one of the best games on the market. It is one of the best card games to ever hit the market in the last 30 plus years. It is phenomenal. It is fun to play, engaging to deck build, and man, oh man, is it fun to watch. I love how this game plays out. I really do. That said, it has struggled quite a bit with how it's been put out into the world. Go see my movie to get a little insight into that one. But also, moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see what this company does. Edge of Exile, as I mentioned, it's an offshoot of a local game store, which is actually pretty cool because when you have that, you have somebody who knows both sides of the coin. They know customers, they know distributors. I was working on that word, sorry. They know distributors. They've got good ways to talk to them both. And part of my goodwill back to them is that I'm going to be sharing some of the marketing things that I was working on towards the end of it. The stuff that got the game into 12 states in the United States in the course of 2 months, that got us talking to distro, that got us talking to TCG Player and accepted onto the platform. We're going to see where they take that. Once I send this over, I'm kind of done. Like I'm not working for the company, but I do want to see what they do, and I'd like to try to set them up a little bit for success. Now, I know that there's been a lot of members of the community that don't want to. They don't. Maybe they're purists, maybe they know different elements of the story. I don't know all the elements of the story or anything like that. I can only go off of what's in front of me. Also, Dunker, that's what's in front of me. I can only go off of what's in front of me. Here's what's in front of me. The game is great. There's a lot of damage that needs to be repaired. Edge of Exile hasn't done a good job with that at all. There are elements of it that make me feel as if they are taking for granted the product. Like, hey, we're back, you guys, and that's like all. That's it. That's all it needs. What it reminds me of is Animaniacs. When Animaniacs came back on Hulu, and the whole stupid... You guys know... Any of you who watched season 1 of Animaniacs from Hulu knows this. Because half that stupid season was them just taking pride in themselves of the fact that they were back. And like, we got it. But like, we want you to be back for the reasons that you were good, not so you can just say that you were back. And I feel like Genesis at its current state, and Edge of Exile is taking itself a little bit for granted right now, and I wish they would stop that. I wish they would stop treating everything as if they're doing everybody a favor. You should be thankful that we're back. No, we weren't. The game wasn't in that we didn't earn that. We didn't earn that. So I'd like to see a little bit of a change there. Of we want to partner with the community. We want to partner with core members of the community. There isn't a lot of that. There really isn't. I'd like to see those partnerships. I'd like to see even the ones who are dissenting, because there's a whole nother game in the middle of this, a whole nother game called Convergence, which is headed up by Alex, who's the lead designer of the game. He's creating a game called Convergence, which is basically his version of Genesis with kind of some of his add-ons and some of the stuff that he wanted to try as the game. So there's like competing games for the same set of mechanics, which also spawns like some different crowds. And it's creating like weird tension. I don't know if you can stop that in full, but like try to partner where you can. There are things where the core community struggled, and they struggle with this idea of it moving forward under different ownership, but you gotta listen to them. Even if they come out and say, like, I hate everything that you're doing, dig the hell in. Just like you asked me, what would make you happy? Do that. Do that. And Jeff, I did that to Jeff. He's one of the owners. I did that to Jeff because there were some weird conversations around like the value of the partnership and like who was getting the better in the deal. And I shot him a message. It was like, what would make you happy? And he was like, uh-oh, I wasn't ready for that question. Please take that. The game right now is struggling a little bit, trying to find its identity and trying to find how it wants to engage the community while also creating an element of excitement. You haven't earned the clout to just exist. You haven't. I'm sorry. You should own that. Focus on the partnerships. Focus on communicating out with people why you are doing what you're doing. And anybody who's following along is like, what are you talking about? I'm going to give you 2 other games to go watch right now, because there are 2 other games out there that are going through the same resurgence, where the business practices took the game into hell. Actually, maybe there's 3. Arguably, there's 3 actually. Business decisions took the game to hell, but there's enough of a strong community that wanted it back that is actually making resurgence. Number 1 is kery TCG. Go check them out. I'm not going to spell it. I'm not. They're based out of Europe. So you US guys who are like hoping for like easy tendies, yeah, sorry, you weren't the market. It's a French-based game. Go check out kery. Again, business decisions failed. The game designer, business decisions of a game called Seventh Heaven. Crap. It wasn't Seventh Heaven. Oh, crap. Seventh Fallen? Whatever. Look up kery. You'll figure it out. The game designers for that game, business crippled them. They were like, we can keep this going. They did a Kickstarter. It did fine. And Europe, now there's a divide, but like it's trying to rebuild itself in Europe. Same story as Genesis. It's the same exact story. Go check them out. The second one is Warlord, Saga of the Storm. Around a while ago, just now coming back, made a deal. I think it was Alderrock. I forgot the publisher. But they're on their way back. But this is another one that has a kind of a cult core community that's very excited for their return. Go check out what they're doing. The third one is Ardent Saga, which our friends over at Tavern Brawlers are actively supporting. If you were a fan of Ardent Saga, which I never played Ardent Saga, but I know the story, which was apparently was a great game, but really bad business decisions. The thing just killed itself. I have a box, actually. I've got a box of it. It just killed itself. But they're also having a little bit of a resurgence as the designers are like, we've got enough of a community that loves this thing. Let's go. Go partner with them, Genesis. Go to them and be like, how would you like to see this game come back into your store? As opposed to, we're back, you guys. Be thankful. You haven't earned that. You haven't earned that. I'd like to see more of that. I would. Additionally, when it comes to, and part of that is also in the change of things. There's a new logo. There's a new back. There's a new design. I don't know why I just say there's a whole new design. Everything has been redesigned. It's in spirit of, but everything's been redesigned. I don't like a lot of it. I'm not gonna lie. I wish that there was more conversation with the community of, hey, what would look good? What would be helpful? What was good? What was bad? There are some elements of it that are just a little bit boring. There are some elements of it that just straight up look rough. The front of the cards from the night, they look bad from the 90s. I'll put one on the screen. Like the top section, that's just rough. That's it. It doesn't blend with anything else. It's painful to look at. Logo itself is also a little bit bland. I would have liked to see a little bit, again, partnership with the community. I'd like to see humility. Be humble. That's the weird thing about the other games, is that they're humble and said, we know we're building from kind of nothing. and we need you guys. Help us. I think that's really important. I think that creates an emotional investment. It's one of the things I really wish that we did with Genesis was I wish that we were humble and said, you know, we're struggling and we really need you guys. We really do. So yeah, there's a couple of things that they're doing, but it is nice to see it back. And again, for those of you who stuck around this long, please pay attention to Genesis a little bit. I think it's phenomenal. I think if it's done right, it is a powerhouse of epic proportions. I do think that they're struggling right now in how they're putting themselves out in the world and how they're putting themselves with the community. I think that they're overprotective as hell. Oh God, take off your stupid watermarks from your spoilers. Fucking stop. Just stop. Don't do it. It's so petty. It's just, I don't care what your lawyers have said. By the way, in 4 seconds, take a shot. That's a 10-minute joke. But I don't care what your lawyers, because your lawyers said be cryptic with your videos when you're going to tell the community. It was a bad idea. There's no empathy right now in this project, and there needs to be. When it comes to like the overprotection, get the watermarks off your stupid files. For the love of God, can we just enjoy the product without having to know that you were the ones who revived it? Shut up. You've got to earn more than that. I'm sorry. You're great. Thank you for bringing it back, but you got to make sure you're bringing back something good. You got to make sure you're bringing back something good, you guys. Something good. This is good. It's terrible. It's actually terrible. Everything tastes like plastic, but like, oh, it's 90s plastic. It's so good. Remind me of like koala yummies. Koala yummies were like cardboard and vacuum dust. But whatever. You got to make sure if you're bringing something back, you got to bring it back good. And that's all that matters. It's so good. But yeah, that's the state of Genesis. That's where we're at. Do better. Be better. Partner. Work on the way you put yourself out in the world. Work on your graphics. Work on your branding. Those are all awful. Awful. I'm not even going to be nice. They are bad. Work on the videos. Don't give me this black outline crap and this old text. Don't give me stuff that wasn't even good in the 90s. Don't give me you're one step away from the ooga chaka, baby.
Ooga, shaka, ooga, ooga, I can't stop this feeling.
Don't do it. Work on branding. Work on making yourself look like a company that wants to be taken seriously, because there are a lot of people who did take you seriously. There are a lot of people who can take it seriously and know what the game is capable of doing. The game is oddly more popular than it's been in a long time, even when I was working for it, because so many people looked at the dumpster fire that is the end of Genesis and said, wait a second, there's a lot of good happening here. There's a lot of good. What the hell is this? And they've stuck around. Embrace that. Embrace the online presence and make yourself look legit. And partner. Be a part of the community. That's what I'm asking you. So that's what I have. That's my story for this. Genesis did a real cool thing in helping me out. Edge of Exile did a real cool thing in helping me out, and I appreciate that. That has earned points. That has earned favor with me. That has earned me wanting to give and suggest that other people give them a better look. But there are things that they are doing as a company that do not make it easy to take them seriously, and they really need to fix that. They need to get out of their head. They need to get out of their own ego, and they really just need to be like, we are here for everybody in this great community, and you know what? Maybe we need a little help, because I don't know if you're ready to admit it, but you guys kind of do. And if you can get that, you're going to be phenomenal. You're going to be great. And use a pun, use a bad pun, because I'm a new dad, I get to do this. Time will tell. If Genesis gets to move on and be a powerhouse, or at least a strong underdog in the CCG space, or if you're going to spend the next couple of years on the edge of exile. I know I went there. Thanks for listening. And if you have any thoughts, comments, if you have any suggestions and things you'd like to see, I want this video in this comment section to be a safe space to try to find some constructive criticism. Please share them. I want this project to be great, and I want this company to succeed. I do. So let's help them out. I'm going to say that. Let's help them out, community. Cheers, everybody.